Hey everyone, this is the next day after the brake job. I'm sitting here working on trying to get some of the videos and just looking over the footage, and everything didn't go exactly how I wanted. Simply put, we ended up getting to bleeding the brakes on the truck, and we're not really sure if we got air in the ABS system or what was going on, but the mechanic from the shop came over, tried to help. We used a vacuum bleeder, we had it on all lines. It got to the point where I could kind of safely drive it. So we got it to the Chevy dealership. I'm not gonna be finishing this up because based on the research I did, it sounds like there's a special scanner tool that you need to release the ABS system and allow the ABS system to bleed itself and also allow the fluid to go through the ABS system to the brakes. So it's something a little beyond what I feel comfortable with doing, and obviously it's with my truck and I want to be able to stop, and it's very important to me that this is done exactly right. And given that I tried and hopefully didn't severely mess it up, but possibly messed it up, I'm just gonna leave it to Chevy to kind of figure it out. But yeah, the footage is gonna play after this. I want you guys to know that I still learned a lot from it. I'm really happy that I did it all, and I learned, like I said, I learned an absolute ton about stuff to do when you're changing the brakes, how to change them. I mean, I think I feel comfortable doing it next time, and I think I could do it better next time and actually bleed the brakes myself, but something happened here. I think maybe the reservoir got dry and just completely bled the ABS, just completely aired the system out, and so there's just air stuck everywhere. But we were trying until 10:30 last night to bleed it. We started trying to bleed, I think, around 7, and the air wouldn't get out of the system. Some people have told me that I should have jacked up the front, and that could have saved it. Some people have said that it's just the ABS system is just a pain, and it takes a lot to get air out of the ABS system. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys that heads up. I think that the video still turned out really well. I think it's still going to be helpful for some people who haven't done brakes before. I don't want this to be like, don't work on your own car and don't try and do your own brakes. This was completely my fault here in that I wasn't watching the reservoir close enough, and I know that it went dry at least once. So that was my fault. I think the biggest thing I would say is just really watch that reservoir if you're doing it. Don't let that go dry. And I mean, if you run into something, you can always leave the car there and have someone else work on it, or you can go back and work on it next day. I wish I could have done that in this scenario, but I was obviously paying for the shop time at this place. I was paying $10 an hour to rent out that shop, and I don't have a ton of money since I'm a college student living with my girlfriend in an apartment, so money isn't as expendable. But if you had a little bit more money to do this, I would have definitely left my vehicle there over the weekend and tried to go back at it with some more experience and knowledge. But it is a car that we need to have running, and I know that Chevy will be able to take care of it a lot quicker than I will. And I have a busy schedule with running the Automotive Enthusiast Club that I run and a research project I'm on with my college. So I had that day to do it, and I did my best. And I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish. I did a lot of stuff that I've been very scared to attempt on my car before, like pulling the axles and draining the diff, and these things that I know that if I mess it up, it could be serious. So I learned a ton, and if anyone wants to do this, I would highly recommend that they do it. If I could go back and do it all again and know that I would get the same output, I would. Because it's knowledge that I now have that I can use in the future to do this job right and do it correctly. And I'm not going to be afraid to take this to a shop, or I'm not going to be afraid to just do it myself instead of taking it to a shop where they would charge. I know that even draining the diff, I mean, I completely refilled the diff, new gasket, new oil, and I got to clean off all the metal shavings, which there was a lot in that diff. It's 20 years old, so it had quite a buildup on that magnet, because I don't think it's been drained in 20 years. So I'm glad that I was able to do that. I feel a lot more comfortable doing that now. So if anyone wants to do this, I just want to kind of put in a precursor that I would highly recommend doing it. I want to be very clear that the reason this didn't get done has nothing to do with the kit. The kit from Little Shop MFG was impeccable. It was perfect. Everything fit as it should have. All the lines fit together as they should have. There was no problems there. Everything worked perfectly with the kit. This was simply user error on my end. I should have gone into this with a little bit more knowledge, and I hope that this video can give those people who are looking to do it that little bit more knowledge, because I know when I was trying to research, there was no video for these 97 K1500 trucks on how to do a disc to drum conversion on the back. And obviously there's just brake videos out there on how to change brakes and do stuff like that, but nothing that I could find specific for this truck. Like, I wasn't aware that the mounting bracket for my caliper is actually part of the steering knuckle, which surprised me a little bit when I got to it, and I got a little worried, but it's just nice to know stuff like that. So I hope that this video will be helpful to anyone who watches it that's interested in doing this brake job. And the biggest thing I could say is to go out and try it yourself. Obviously, be very careful if you are planning on doing this. It is the brakes of your vehicle, and it can be very dangerous if they are messed up. So just be careful, give it some tests in the shop before you do it. That's what we had to do with the truck. It was terrifying the first time I did it, but we just set my old drum brakes behind the rear wheels, put it in reverse with my foot all the way on the brake, just to see if it would hold the truck. And since it would be going slow enough, I could just throw it in a park, which is what I had to do, because the first time I pressed on the brakes, I actually had no brakes. So just do little things like that to make sure that you stay safe if you want to do this. And I hope that you guys enjoy the video. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was a long day at the shop, but it was a good time. So have a good one, guys, and I hope you enjoy it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the XSP Green Monster channel. We are here at the Hive in Pullman, Washington. Be sure to check them out. They rent out a lift bay and a standard bay with jack stands and jacks if you're interested in working on your car. I'm here with my friend Fox, who's helping me out, and we are starting on the brake build. So this is all the stuff I got. We've already loosened up lugs on all of the wheels and I've got them off. We're doing the fronts first, and then we're going to move around to the back conversion. So we're going to be starting off here is doing the new calipers on the front to replace it, as well as the new drilled and slotted rotors. So I'll kind of update you guys with what we're doing as we're going along. First thing is we're just going to be removing these couple bolts on here, right back here, and down the bottom to remove this caliper. And then we're going to be taking that off. So I'll pick you guys back up when we get to that. Alright, so we just took out these two bolts in the back. They are a large Allen key. I'm not sure on the size. It is a 3/8 Allen head bolt. Then you just pull them out, they won't pull out all the way, and then you can slip off the caliper. These are my old ones, obviously. And then I also turned the wheel so that we had better access to these two bolts since we had used the breaker bar. And obviously the big thing with these is you don't want to let them rest on the brake line. So we'll make sure that's up there, and then we're going to have to test fit the new ones just to make sure they do clear my rims. And then we got lucky that this wasn't rusted on. So it just comes off like that, and it's ready for all of the new stuff. Alright, so we just got the caliper and brake rotor test fitted on here. Nothing's connected, just to make sure that it clears everything. As you can see, the wheel clears the caliper. Wanted to make sure that I did this since I'm doing new calipers and new rotors on there. See it from the back, possibly. Everything on there. There is the new setup, and like I said, this is all just resting on here, so we can pull it off now, clean everything, and get it ready to go back on. So we just sprayed these down with brake cleaner, made sure they're nice and clean, and I applied a small amount of anti-seize just to the backing plate so that they won't get stuck on there again, even though these were pretty good to begin with. So I'm just gonna put on a new rotor, new set of gloves too, to make sure I get as little contamination on them as possible. And I'm just gonna throw on a couple lug nuts to make sure that these will stay here. Just hold it and then we can. Alright, so here me and Fox are trying to get this off, and you can't really see it, but we snapped the head off of the alignment pin. It's supposed to be right there. We were just torquing it down, didn't even reach torque. Snapped it. This is what it should look like. So we are trying to figure out how to get it off right now so we can put in one of the old stock ones. But yeah, that's where we're at with this. So I'll pick you guys back up in a little bit when we get this figured out. Alright, just got the guide pin out here. I had to use some vice grips to back it back out. We can get the caliper off now and I can continue with the installation. And I'll get you guys again once I get further on this, and hopefully we don't break any more bolts off in the calipers. Alright, just finished up both front sides. I got a little carried away, so I did the rest. Got new brake lines going on, stainless steel braided, and new calipers and rotors on. Just putting on these wheels, then we're going to move on to the back wheels. We ended up being able to vice grip out that broken guide pin, so we're all set now, and I'll see you when we start doing the back. Okay, so since I last talked to you guys, we've gotten the rear wheels pulled off and all the drum brake parts pulled off, so that was just unhooking a bunch of springs. I don't really have any good ideas on how to do that. We just kind of went for it. The only thing was with these little pins which hook into the tops of these springs, which sit right here, you gotta hold the back with your finger, and then you have to hold the back with your finger, and you can see right here there's a little thing that catches. Hold back with your finger, press it in, and then twist it, and it'll come right out. So we're at this point, which is where the axle needs to come out, and we just disconnect this brake line as well. So there's going underneath right now. And I have pulled off the cover for the differential, because I am choosing to remove the differential, and I'm using a 8mm socket to remove the holding pin on the center. To remove the holding pin for the differential's main bolt. Oh no. Oh god. You feeling this?
What happened?
I dropped the socket in gear oil. Alright, so we just took out this cotter pin, the retaining pin that holds in the center bolt. And if you want to come over here, hey. My girlfriend has also volunteered to film for me. Now you can reach behind and slide out the center differential pin. And then, if you want to go and put it into neutral quickly, So then we can spin the carrier. And just spin this differential gear so you can see the ends of the axles on the inside. And then we can take the axle and press it in. We can use a magnet to pull out the retaining clips. If you just want to press in that axle too.
Do what?
Just press in the axle. Perfect. Oh. Yes. Those retaining clips. And then we're gonna remove the axle. Once those retaining clips are removed, you can pull out the axle. Alright, we just got this backing plate off. The hardest part is getting that little clip right there through this backing plate. It just takes some finagling with a pair of pliers. Got the brake line disconnected. Now he's got to put on the new stuff. Okay, back in everyone. Here we go. Got all the drums off. Got the hub just left here. Brake line's disconnected. Parking brake's disconnected. These are the brackets I showed you earlier in the video. These go with this notch facing up, and they're going to sit right in there like that. And it kind of holds itself there, but then you open up the bag of bolts that you get to mount it, and there are 2 bolts with silver nuts and 2 bolts without silver nuts. These 2 bolts without silver nuts go down here on the 2 bottom holes. And we're also just going to use a little bit medium strength thread locker, which isn't open. Okay. We're gonna put a little bit of medium strength thread locker onto the threads here just to make sure they don't vibrate loose. A little bit on each side. And then double check and make sure that they aren't cross-threaded. And I'm just gonna get them snugged up here. Oops. Next ones are the ones with the nuts on them. And you're gonna separate the one nut and one washer off of each. And same thing, I'm gonna put on a little bit of thread locker. With this, and you're gonna take this supplied bracket which holds the brake line, slip it under this so it faces the front of vehicle. And thread it through. Do the exact same with the other bolt. Okay, so with these bolts, I'm just tightening them up basically as tight as I can with this 8-inch socket. So I didn't get torque specs for it, and this obviously isn't a typical transformation. So once you get those two bolted down, you take the remaining washers and nuts.
I want to do a pan.
You take the remaining washers and nuts and put it onto the other side of these bolts. And again, we'll supply a little bit of thread locker to the threads where it's going to meet it. And then bring these nuts all the way snug. We're going to take our wrench and once again, I'm just going to tighten these. Basically as tight as I can get them on this wrench. Do the same with the other bolt. And that's on. And now we can reinstall the axle. Here, I'll put up here. So I've got the axle shaft on this right side. We're just going to carefully and right here you just gotta kinda turn it and wiggle it until it sits in there. Right there. Okay. And just carefully press it all the way in. You can come take your retaining ring.
What does the retaining ring look like?
The retaining ring looks like that.
Okay.
I'm using a magnet so it's a little bit easier. And just slip it back around your shaft. And then you can push the shaft back out. I can't on that side, but that's just because my caliper's on over there. But you can push the shaft back out and then your shaft will be locked into place. Okay, so with both axles back in the vehicle, I just rotated the carrier inside differential and put back in that retaining pin. And now I'm just going to put back in the retainer pin for the retaining pin. So just get it in there and then hand tighten that down as far as I can go before we move to doing using this. And then we are getting closer and closer to having these installed. Alright, so we got everything up and attached here, got the diff refilled. Had to do it off camera. We're running out of time today at the shop and I need to drive this home, so we ended up having to do a little bit more off camera than I would like to. But you can see the new calipers mounted on the back. I haven't done the parking brakes yet. I'm gonna do that at a later time. Got the new braided stainless steel lines in, all the retaining clips in. We just have to bleed the system. And then I will do a video of the break-in process as well, which will be part 4. But I think that's gonna about do it for this install video. I know it didn't have everything that I would have liked, but sometimes time just gets better of you and I can't exactly take everything apart and do it again. So thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next video.